This is the first video on the photoelectric effect, and in this first video we're going to have a little look at the experiment that demonstrated the effect. We started off with a electroscope, gold leaf electroscope, which consisted of the metal box, the spine going down the centre, and a gold leaf attached to the central spine around about there. So we've got a zinc cap on the top here, metal zinc sanded to get rid of all the oxide, and a metal spine down the middle, gold leaf, very good conductor, all insulated from the metal box. And we can charge up the electroscope by connecting it to the terminals of an EHC power supply. So we could connect it to the negative terminal by connecting it like that, and that has the effect of dumping onto the electroscope excess electrons. It's connected to the negative terminal, very, very high voltage, so it's giving the electrons lots of energy, trying to push them around, so it charges up the electroscope negatively. The gold leaf is covered in electrons here, the stem is covered in electrons here, the zinc plate is covered in electrons. Because the gold leaf and the stem have the same charge, then the gold leaf repels and pushes up away from the stem. The next thing we did was to get our UV lamp, shine the UV lamp onto the surface of the electroscope, onto the zinc plate. When we did that, what we noticed was that the gold leaf that had been repelled actually dropped down. So because the gold leaf has dropped, the only explanation for that is that the electrons have been removed from the electroscope. It's completely discharged. So what explanation could there be for that? Well, the obvious one is that the ultraviolet light has energy. We know that light is a form of energy. The light has given its energy to the electrons on the surface of the zinc and given them enough energy to actually leave the surface. They've come away from that zinc plate at the top, come away from the spine, come away from the gold leaf. The whole thing is now discharged. So somehow the UV has given its energy to the electrons, got them to come away. That's discharged the electroscope. That is basically what the photoelectric effect is. Light giving up its energy to the electrons in a metal, getting those electrons to come away from the metal. Photo, light, electric from the electrons. So what happened when we charge the electroscope positively? Well, we can charge it positively by connecting it to the positive terminal of the power supply, and the electroscope is now positively charged. The gold leaf goes up again. There it is. It's positively charged, of course, this time because all the electrons have been removed from the zinc plate and the metal spine and the gold leaf. So it's positively charged because of an absence of electrons. Electrons have travelled from the gold, from the spine, into the power supply. So what happened when we shone our ultraviolet on it this time? Well, no matter how long we shone the ultraviolet light on for, nothing happened. The gold leaf stayed repelled from that central spine. And that's no surprise if we go back to our first scenario where the ultraviolet was giving energy to electrons. There are no longer any excess electrons on there to receive any energy, so the electroscope remains charged. Now the third thing we did with our electroscope was to charge it up negatively again, and this time we shone some visible light onto it. I haven't got an arrow for visible light or rainbow colour, so green will do, but we got rid of the ultraviolet light and we shone visible light on it. But it wasn't just any old visible light, it was actually a 100 watt light bulb, okay, 100 watts, 100 joules per second of energy coming in, hitting that, and that compared with the ultraviolet light, which was only 10 watts. Okay, so you had 10 watts of ultraviolet, 100 watts of visible. So we're getting more energy in, much more energy in from the visible light now. So we probably expect, perhaps, that because more energy was hitting the surface of the metal, we'd expect the electrons to come away sooner and the electroscope to discharge sooner. But in fact, when we shone the visible light on, nothing happened at all. And that's a bit odd. That's the odd thing about this photoelectric effect. I can shine on my visible light, that's 100 watts, high power, lots of energy, but nothing happens. It only works with the UV. Okay, so that was the experiment. In the next video we'll try and explain why that actually takes place.